Hello and welcome. So nice to have you here on this Tuesday almost at noon. Before we kick off, I will just ask you if you don't mind sharing in the chat where you're watching from today. That's always super interesting for us to know. We'll just give it a few seconds to let people join the chat as well. First 3 people are from Berlin, Munich, Madrid, Switzerland. Awesome. Somebody's on the train. See? Amazing. Well, I hope that your Wi-Fi holds up on the train for you there. Then I'll kick off. We just have a short introduction from my side from Malt. So our agenda is my short introduction, and then we have our special guest here today, Linde, who I'm very excited to hear from, who will be sharing her talk, Mastering AI in Marketing, Driving Business Value at Scale. And then we have time for questions as well. You can use the chat anytime to write your questions in there. I'm here. I will collect them for the end. You also have a questions function. So if you look at the bottom right of your screen, you can input questions, and any of the other participants in the webinar can vote if you also have the same question by any chance. My name is Rebecca, and I'm a community builder at Malt, so I'm responsible for creating the events and webinars that we have planned for our community. And I'm very excited to have Linde here with us today. She, I'm sure, will introduce herself as well in her presentation, but comes with 20 years of experience in her field of expertise, and really excited to hear what you've brought with you today, Linde. Just a little background to Malt. So Malt this year turned 11 years old. It was founded in Paris in 2013 by 2 freelancers themselves, so Vincent and Hugo. And there's a lot that happened in the last 11 years. So most recently, Comatch was acquired as well by Malt, which is now known as our Malt strategy pool of consultants. And today, Malt's grown a lot. We have around 750,000 freelancers globally who have a profile on Malt, over 70,000 clients who trust in using Malt to find talent. In the DACH region, we have about 55,000 freelancers and consultants who have a profile on Malt. And then fitting to the topic today, we have 4,000 active freelancers in the DACH region who are specialized in marketing as well. So if you are coming from the client side looking for talent, we have a lot of talent on Malt as well. Here, just broken down by different industry, you can see some of the clients who are already working with us, who are trusted in the process that we have on Malt. And just to show you why a lot of clients really enjoy working with Malt, well, we have a lot of vetted community compliant freelancers that are on Malt, and really take care to make sure that top talent is on Malt. A best matching process, so it's fast and simple and makes it much easier for you to find the best matches for your projects. And then there's a freelance management tool as well to help you manage freelancers that are working on your client projects. In terms of the freelancer side, so you have the opportunity as a freelancer to showcase your reputation through preferences, uploading a portfolio, showing your daily rate, and whatnot. And there's fast and secure payment, which means that within 10 business days, you would at the very latest be paid. We have a dedicated freelance team, so myself and some of my colleagues who make sure we have events, networking, support, etc., to help you around all of your administrative and career development tasks. And then we also have a number of partners who offer some special discounts and whatnot in different freelancing tools for you. There's 3 ways that you as a client can find freelancers on Malt, and as a freelancer that you can be found on Malt. The first is our self-service search, so just searching into the search bar on the Malt website what kind of freelancer you need, putting keywords in, clicking on the profile, sending a message, sending a project offer. The second would be an assisted source. So we do have a team that works to help match the right talent and recruit the right talent to your project. And the other option would be posting a project. So using our AI to help match you with the correct profiles. And that's it for me. I don't want to take up all of the time here talking about Malt, and I will hand right over to Linde. So thank you, Linde, for joining us today.
Great. Thank you, Becca. So welcome, everyone from Berlin. It's lovely to see so many other Berlin folks here joining us, but I'm also really happy to see people from all over Germany and across Europe and even Africa, if I can see it correctly from the chat. So welcome. Becca, are you sharing the presentation?
Yes, I'll share it here. So I think you should be able to click through the slides.
Amazing, thank you. So I will talk today about mastering AI in marketing, and I will focus very specifically on driving business value at scale. But before I kick off, I would love to understand, besides geographically where you're from, also which functions I have here in the virtual room. So I'm assuming there's a lot of marketers here, but maybe also a couple of other functions present as well. So do drop in the chat if you're a marketer or from a different function. Would love to get a better overview. Right, so I can see product, software developer wants to learn more about marketing. That's amazing. A lot of marketers, partnerships, see some familiar names here as well from my network. Hi, everyone. Right. So while you post in the chat, let me start by just telling you a little bit more about why I'm focusing on business value. There's a lot of talk and hype about AI. And with that, there's also a whole range of people who are now talking about AI and about AI in marketing. But a lot of that is focused on experimenting with AI in marketing, on marketing tools, on prompt engineering and finding the best prompts and the best tools as well for certain narrow use cases. And all of that is obviously great. But what we really want and what businesses really want is they want to unlock business value through AI. They want to understand how they can increase revenue, how they can reduce costs, and in the end, how AI will positively impact their bottom line. And that's what I want to focus on today. So Becca already gave a little bit of an introduction about myself. I have 20 years of experience in marketing, communications, and sales, worked for companies like Google, also smaller companies like N26, a fintech challenger bank. And most recently, in my full-time role, I was a CMO at eBay for Germany specifically. And why I'm talking about AI is because I was at Google when Sundar, the CEO, announced that Google was going to be an AI-first company. And that was, I think, in 2018, if I remember correctly. And so I took note and I thought, okay, I better learn as much as possible about AI and how to apply this in my field of work, and also, across the different functions that I'm collaborating with on a daily basis. And ever since then, I've been applying AI in my personal life, but also in my professional life in the various roles that I've held. And currently, since leaving eBay, I'm advising and coaching businesses on marketing and marketing strategy, but also on how to implement AI in marketing. And so I've worked with quite a number of different businesses on especially this challenge. And we focus on going beyond experimenting and moving towards unlocking business value from applying AI in marketing. You've probably seen this quote before. It's been circulating quite a bit also on social media, for example. There's a quote from Sam Altman, the CEO from OpenAI. And he said recently that 95% of what marketers use agencies for will easily, nearly instantly, and at almost no cost be handled by AI. Now that's obviously, it might excite you, it might scare you to death, because as marketers and agencies, it obviously means that we are now replaceable and becoming more and more replaceable potentially. But at the same time, I think we probably won't be getting there yet within the time frame that he mentioned, which I think was about 5 years from now. It's clear that we still need marketers and humans in the mix in order to unlock that value from AI. But what's clear is that AI is capable of handling more and more of the work that we're doing as marketers. And especially if you think about the fact that, because Sam was talking mainly about generative AI, but if you think about the fact that AI is so much more than generative AI. Generative AI is currently where the buzz and the hype is, but there's other areas of AI that are very relevant for marketing, such as predictive AI, which means using data to predict future outcomes through machine learning. Then there's obviously generative AI, which creates a lot of hype at the moment, because it allows people to create new content based on patterns it has learned through technologies such as GAN and transformers. And then there's also a third area, which is interesting for marketing, which is conversational AI. And that focuses on enabling machines to interact with humans in a more natural and conversational way. So your chatbots, your virtual assistants, and your avatars. And it's based on natural language understanding and natural language processing. So if you look at, the fact that you have these three technologies across different areas and different use cases, it's clear that, yes, AI will actually be handling more and more of the marketing work. And given the pace of technological change, it actually will also become increasingly better at doing so. So there's huge potential. And of course, executives have also recognized this potential. 89% of executives rank AI as a top 3 tech priority for 2024. And you've probably likely have heard this at your company as well, if you're employed at a company. But in general, we read about it every day as well in the news. And if you look at earning calls, everywhere AI is mentioned. But if you look at the reality, about 85% of AI projects fail. And you will see different stats on it. So there's everything ranging from 40 to 91%, depending on the research that you look at. But what's very clear is that a large number of AI projects fail. And so you have this technology with huge potential, but unfortunately, it doesn't really match up with the potential business value that it could deliver. It's clearly not there yet. And so that's why you often will get results like this, right, from your AI project. So you will, for example, run a pilot, but with mixed results that will show that, it doesn't make sense to scale it yet across your organization. If you have actually experimented, or if you're using AI for content generation, I'm sure you've gotten results such as the one that you're seeing here on the slide, right? So it often still creates output that is simply not the right quality that you're looking for and is not up to scratch. When we look at marketing teams, we see that they are at different levels of maturity, as are companies overall. And from the marketing teams I've worked with and my experience, I've bucketed this into 3 different buckets. And of course, there's some fluidity between the 3. It doesn't mean that, they have exactly only this specific characteristics, but and they might be moving from one stage to the next. But if you look at how you could bucket the levels of AI maturity in marketing, you have what I would call the AI consumers. And this is where most of marketing teams actually currently are at. So what it means is that they use AI functionality in existing tools, and almost every marketing team will do so. As soon as they start advertising, they will use the AI functionality that the large advertising platforms offer, such as Google and Meta, etc. They might also be using AI tools for narrow use cases. Their use is usually scattered across the organization. So you have people who are just experimenting and using it a bit here and there, but there's no coherent strategy. The leadership talks about AI, but there's no clear AI strategy in place, or there's no clear strategic thinking behind it. Then you have, as a second bucket, what I call the AI enhancers. They start to think about AI in a more strategic way. They also use AI functionality in existing tools, and they use AI tools for narrow use cases, but they also look more and more towards these, what I call operational enablers. So data organization and governance is something that is becoming more top of mind. They are identifying and entering, for example, first partnerships. The leadership supports AI and is starting to champion it across the organization. And they maybe also are starting to customize models for their own needs. And then the third bucket are the ones that we all want to be part of. We all want to become the AI pioneers, and that's only a very small percentage of marketing teams, where their AI strategy is aligned with business goals. They also have the same characteristics as AI consumers and enhancers, that they're using all the tools, etc. But they are more strategic about onboarding them and about onboarding their partners. They have a strong data foundation. They train and use models with proprietary data. And the word proprietary is very important here, because the proprietary data is what will give you the competitive advantage and what will be a differentiator in the use of AI. They usually have an innovation culture. Their leadership champions AI. They create strong cross-functional workforce. They upskill employees, they have governance and ethics in place, and they use all of these levers then to scale the business value of AI. Now, I would like to do a little poll just to see where, if you're working for an organization, or maybe in case you're a freelancer, if you're working with an organization, do let me know what stage of maturity the company is at the moment. Becca, if you could launch the poll.
Yep, the poll is up. So if you just go bottom right to polls, you should be able to see it, and then you can vote as well. Are you able to see it, Linde?
I can see it, yeah.
Perfect, great.
Okay, so here I see the results are still coming in, but it does align with my stats and numbers that I have here. So we see that the majority at 63% are AI consumers, 29% are AI enhancers, and 7% are AI pioneers. So we see from there huge potential in AI, but the majority of the companies are just not unlocking the value that they can get from the technology. So the big question is, how do we become AI pioneers? And there's certain steps that those AI pioneers follow, and certain enablers that they have in place in order to get them to that stage. I want to dive a bit deeper into those. So first of all, it's important to identify strategic areas, which means that areas that have a high business impact with regards to increasing revenue, enhancing the customer journey, but also lowering costs for the business, both time and money. Then it's important to define and pilot AI use cases. And also when you're defining and piloting them, making sure that you already look through the lens of scalability. Then really important is establishing operational enablers. And I'll touch upon that later, but these are things that you need to have in place in order to just move you to that level of AI where you can start actually reaping the rewards of AI in a scalable way. And then obviously very crucial is measuring success. And the reason why this is a circle is because every step feeds into the next one. And more importantly, with AI, you have this compounding effect. So once you start working on applying AI in high impact areas, what you will see is that, once you go through the first, the second, the first few use cases and you pilot and then go to the phase where you scale them, because you establish the operational enablers and because they get stronger, the next AI pilots and projects will benefit from that. And so you become faster and faster at unlocking business value obviously in an ideal scenario. So it means that if you want to unlock business value from AI, it's clearly a transformation process. It's not just applying AI randomly here and there. It really goes beyond that. And it means you need to look at all those different areas that are important in transformation. So technology and data, the processes, and the people. What's important to understand, though, is that one size doesn't fit all. So I can't today give you a template for an AI strategy and say, go ahead and apply that. And then, you'll do fine and you'll unlock that value. That's not how it works, because your AI strategy needs to be anchored, obviously, in your marketing strategy. And your marketing strategy needs to be aligned with your business strategy. Now, that should be a no-brainer, but in reality, having worked in marketing for 20 years, I do only very rarely see that happening in reality across marketing teams. So it's important to take your business context, your North Star with regards to your business and your customers, and anchor your AI strategy in that. But if we look at the first step of becoming an AI pioneer, so identifying those strategic areas, the levers, what every business has in common, obviously, is that business value comes from saving costs, so money and time, increasing revenue, and also improving the customer experience, because those three things will impact the bottom line positively. And so when you start looking at marketing, you obviously need to look at your own data that you have with regards to what drives revenue and profit. But if you look at marketing and the evidence around what actually drives effectiveness in marketing, there's a couple of different areas that have a really big impact. So first of all, it's your strategy. So everything from your customer segmentation, your positioning, to obviously then the processes that nurture that, like market research, etc. Brand size is really crucial. The bigger your brand, the more effective your marketing and your communication becomes. Your creative and your content in advertising creative is one of the biggest effectiveness drivers overall. And targeting actually not so much, which a lot of even marketers don't know. What's really important as well is your budget size and your budget allocation in order to drive effectiveness through marketing. Personalization is a big lever, and also multi-channel media. So the more channels you spread your message across, the more effective your marketing becomes. And these are just a couple that I'm mentioning here. They're based on various effectiveness studies. I did leave out price. Price is obviously a huge lever, but since many marketing teams unfortunately don't own price anymore, I left it out, but that's another big driver. Then you need to look at a second factor at what are the biggest cost drivers in marketing, and this is just a sample budget. You need to obviously look at your own numbers, but again, here you can start identifying, okay, what are the biggest cost drivers within marketing, where it actually would make an impact if I can start reducing those costs through applying AI. And then the same is identifying also the biggest time drivers. So you can do that by, a time tool, surveys, etc., within your marketing team to identify what tasks is my team actually spending the most time on, and how can we free up resources by automating some of that. And then you can start looking at prioritizing those areas. So this is just a sample of some areas that I plotted here, but obviously you need to do that with your own inputs and your own areas. So I put, because we're looking at business value, I put costs, both time and money, on the x-axis and revenue on the y-axis, and then you want to start looking at those areas that have that are both high in revenue potential, but also high in costs, and then you want to start shifting them. So in the upper right quadrant, and then you want to start applying AI to them to shift them, ideally, obviously higher up in revenue, but lower in costs. And this is where you start to make a business impact that is noticeable and will be noticeable in your bottom line. So it's a value-driven approach. First key is focus on areas with high business impact. But also important is to start with an area or sub-areas where you can show impact in a reasonable amount of time. And this is important, and again, kind of depends on the company you're working at or working with, and the level of maturity that they're at. Are they very skeptical still about AI? Do they already understand, or is the value of AI already been proven? But you definitely want to make sure you have some quick wins that can help you gain momentum, and then you can build on those to also balance that with some AI projects that actually drive bigger, let's say, business value potential, but at the same time might take longer to actually materialize. So what's really important with all of this is that at any point in time, you keep the customer top of mind, because it's very easy. A lot of companies use AI, especially when at the lower end of the maturity, they're focused often more on efficiency rather than effectiveness. And so with that, it's easy to cut costs at the expense of the customer experience. And it's something that I've seen working with companies where they start applying AI in content and then, or creative, and then the quality of that creative actually is not really good. And so it fails to actually drive the effect that they're after. And this is an example here on the slide of PayPal, because you see it a lot with virtual agents as well. I'm sure you've had your own experience with those. But here, PayPal's virtual agent is interacting with the customer, and the customer says, "I got scammed." And the PayPal virtual agent says, "Great." So obviously, that's not the customer value that you want to deliver. And it's important that with everything you do in AI, you keep the customer perspective and the customer lens in order to make sure that you don't start to apply AI to, for example, reduce cost and time at the expense of the quality and the customer value that you should be creating. This is a bit more of a side note, but when you look at your marketing strategy, it's also important to keep in mind that AI is changing the customer journey. So because of large language models and because of that also being applied more in search, so for example, AI search, right, in Google search and Bing, the way people are searching for information is actually changing, and more of that is also happening in large language models, which will also mean a decrease in brand search traffic. So it's very important to also start adapting in your AI strategy towards those changes in the customer journey and in customer behavior as well. And so things like, for example, large language model optimization become more important. So now when we look at the second step, after you've identified your strategic area, and you likely need to break that down even further into sub areas, you then can look into, okay, what use cases do we have, and what AI technology can help in actually unlocking value through AI in that specific area or sub area. And I mapped a couple of them here. It's not exhaustive, right? There's more, but these are mapped across the three main areas that I mentioned earlier. So you can take a look at that later on. For the sake of time, I'm gonna move on from this. But once you identified which use cases, which AI technology to apply, you can then run a pilot. So First of all, you need to define your problem, your objectives and KPIs. That's very important. As a second step, you need to outline the steps that are involved in this pilot, the resources you need, the data you need for implementation. Then you can move to pilot stage. Then it's obviously important to measure the success of that pilot. And depending on the success, you can then move to the scaling part, where again, you will probably need to have another look at the resources needed and the data needed to scale it even further. I now want to touch upon a few case studies. I can't go into too much detail due to the fact that we don't have that much time. But one very common use case for AI is personalization in marketing, but broader than that, obviously across the entire customer journey. And one company that is an excellent example of that and doing that at scale in a way that it unlocks business value is Sephora. So they're you probably know them, they're a beauty retailer. And they actually, they recognize the value of personalizing or more personalized experience with their customers. And what they did in 2015 is that they set up an innovation lab for the company, and they actually looked at bringing together all the different functions that are needed to deliver value to the customer throughout the journey. So marketing, product, design, and other functions as well. And then with that, they started to add rapidly and started to experiment with different applications, launching them, testing them, and then when they were successful, scaling them. So they started already in 2016 with a virtual assistant. They actually then developed a couple of different apps, for example, that can match your cosmetics to your skin tone. They're now actually going further with a new app that they're launching, which goes even into more detail with regards to the kind of skin diagnostics and then personalized recommendations on what beauty products to use. And so they continue to build on the previous successes that they had with regards to launching those customized experiences, and then continue to unlock value. And as a result, they've been able to 4x their online sales over the last 6 years, and they've really become a leader in that space and what I would call also an AI pioneer. Then the second area is research. There's a lot of potential in research, from the use case that I'll talk about now at Heineken to one other, what's relatively new now coming up is around synthetic data and using that in research. So data that's actually created by AI as replicas of your audience, of your research target audience, that you can then use, and obviously you can reduce the time and you can reduce the cost that's then needed to do research. So this is an upcoming area, and very excited about that, because it has a lot of potential to really, first of all, drive insights at scale, but also reduce costs and time it needs to gain insights from customers. So this case study from Heineken is a bit different. They had this very typical pain point that also a lot of companies have, which is that insights are hard to access and they're scattered across different teams, decks, and other resources. And this is very often the case in companies. And obviously with that, you can't really unlock the value, right? Because it will take marketers or different teams a long time to find the right insights. And at the same time, they might actually just not use them because they're not bothered to go look for them. So what they did is they worked with a company and who helped them train an AI assistant on their own research and insights. And that AI assistant can answer questions and is accessible to everyone within the company. And so with that, the access to insights is completely democratized across the company, which they are measuring then in an increase in productivity and a reduction in time to market for its product. So in cost reduction. But obviously when new products, new campaigns are based on deep customer insights that will also help them to increase effectiveness of their campaigns, their marketing work, and their products. So that's another example of a use case and how to apply it in marketing. So now let's talk about, because this is a really important one and differentiates the laggards from the pioneers, is key enablers that need to be in place to scale AI. One of the most important ones at all times is leadership support. So you need to have leaders who prioritize and actively champion AI across the organization. Ideally, obviously, across the entire organization, but definitely also when you want to apply AI in marketing, you need to have the leadership or the support of your marketing leadership to make that happen, because they will need to help allocate resources, they will need to help remove barriers, etc., etc. So that's one really key enabler, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of AI projects fail if that support is not there. Then I mentioned it before, but I'm going to put it here again, because I feel that when we talk about marketing, we can't stress it enough, how important it is to align AI strategy with business objectives. So clear objectives and KPIs defined across the AI agenda. We don't want to talk about vanity metrics. We want to talk about the real deal that will impact the bottom line of the company. Then a third one, absolutely crucial, because without data, you don't have AI. And that's another one that in reality, when I work with organizations, I see a lot of roadblocks there with regards to the data, the access to data, the way it's organized, cataloged, access policies, the way it's being curated. But without good data, you won't get good outputs. And I'm sure you've heard it many times, but the saying goes garbage in, garbage out. And this is very true when it comes down to data and AI and marketing. So it's really crucial to set up a good data foundation. And a lot of marketing teams don't have that in place. Another one is modern tech infrastructure. I won't go into depth on that one. Responsible AI principles, really important. A lot of things can go wrong with AI. You don't want that to happen. You definitely want to mitigate against that. So you need to implement guardrails. You need to ensure transparency and fairness. Also, when you look at data, right, you want to make sure you have diverse data. You don't have biases already baked into your data. And you have ways to check for that as well. And then the right team is crucial. As marketers, you likely will need other stakeholders as well from different functions to actually implement your AI pilot and to then scale it later on. So it's really important that you already have the right teams in place to deliver on that. Like what I was mentioning with Sephora earlier on, that they had this innovation lab where they pulled together the different teams that were needed to deliver. And then also within marketing, you need to have the right talent, and the right talent or the profile of the right talent is also changing because of AI, obviously. So I try to map the different areas that I've identified as being important and what skills are needed in order for marketing teams to adapt and to be able to take advantage of AI and apply it in a way that unlocks that business value. So there's areas like understanding AI, which is all about, how it works, concepts, risks, strategy and roadmap, measuring success. So the topics we are covering here. There's the whole area of feeding AI. So data, what I just talked about, marketers need to become more data literate, right? They need to understand the infrastructure, how to collect, how to organize, security, analysis, visualization. All of these skills are becoming more and more important. They need to know how to talk to AI to get great outputs. They need to understand responsible AI, reducing bias in outputs, ethical guidelines. They need to know how to influence AI. So how do you influence algos to choose your brand, feature your products, etc. And they need to continuously adapt to AI, because AI will continue to change, and because of that, customer needs and preferences will change. But also the way that we do marketing with effect that AI will be able to handle more and more, and we will hopefully continue to move on to higher value generating activities within AI. So continuous learning and test and learn culture are also extremely important. Now let's talk about a very critical part of the whole of AI and actually bringing it to scale. So success, you want to measure success, and you want to measure that in business value. So you should set clear business objectives and KPIs. Your KPI should measure business value, like cost saving, increases in revenue, improvement in time to market. And you need to be able, if you can't exactly measure that yet, you need to have leading KPIs that actually will result, or clearly will result in that value that you need to deliver. And then very important, you need to bring in the customer lens at all time. So you can look at metrics like customer satisfaction. You want to either obviously increase customer satisfaction if you're improving and personalizing, for example, the customer journey. But if you use AI to reduce costs, for example, in content creation, you need to make sure that you at least keep customer satisfaction, if it's already fairly high, at a stable state. So it's important to always bring that in order to make sure that you don't start producing things that just don't drive the impact that is needed. Right, so now I want to quickly let my avatar, so that's another benefit of AI, is that as a presenter, you can take a break and you can hand over to your avatar. So I want to quickly hand over to my avatar for the last 2 minutes to actually talk a little bit more about the future. And for that, I need to share my screen because it's not working in the PDF that Becca is presenting. So just give me 1 second.
I'll just remove the PDF for now and then bring it back up again after.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Yeah. As humans, we're good at thinking in a linear path. And so we're fairly good at predicting the immediate future. But technological change is exponential, and it is accelerating at a rate that is becoming more and more difficult for humans to understand and predict. So we don't know what's out there in 5 to 10 years, but what we do know is that AI is capable of handling more and more of the work that we do as marketers, and is becoming better and better at doing so. For now, it remains marketer plus machine, but as marketers, we need to adapt, we need to embrace new skills, and we need to know how to use AI to drive differentiation and competitive advantage. There's a lot of mediocre marketing work out there. AI offers us the opportunity to automate all those tedious, time-consuming tasks that we do as marketers, and invest that time that we free up in more strategic, higher value work that significantly improves the quality of the outputs and the work we deliver. With that time, we can then reinvest in optimizing the customer journey and driving more and more connections with our customers. Algorithms are becoming more and more influential, but humans are still the ones who are the final decision makers on what product and services to buy. And so as marketers, we need to keep the humans at the center and create value for our customers with everything we do. That's something that's not going to change anytime soon. Right, so I actually forgot that when you share it or when you present it, that the lag will be way worse than it actually is. But so this is an AI avatar that I created, and actually it's much better than what you just saw. It's still not perfect, but it becomes more and more, let's say, realistic with regards to the expression, with regards to the voice. And so with that, it's actually also quite promising in order to start to create or use avatars to create content at scale. And at the same time, also use that in customer interaction, customer service, etc. And the first kind of iterations of those avatars were quite scary. At least that's how my son described it. But the one that I actually showed you just now, unfortunately, it lags when presenting, but it's getting pretty good to and closer to the real deal. So just to sum it up before we go into Q&A, there's a couple of key elements that are needed to develop a marketing AI strategy that drives business value. Number one, alignment with the business strategy, very important. Focus on high impact areas, look at cost, revenue, and customer experience. Never forget the customer. Clearly defined objectives and KPIs, specific, measurable, and scalable use cases. That's what you need to focus on. Mix of long-term value drivers and quick wins, just to make sure you build momentum, but you also work on the things that will unlock higher business value later on. You need to have organized and high-quality data. Data strategy should be part of your marketing strategy. Governance and ethical AI principles. And then you need to very carefully look at the skills that you need, the gaps, the hiring you need to do, and the upskilling that you need to do. If you don't have the right skills in place, your AI projects won't be successful. So before we move into Q&A, I'd love to stay in touch. You can sign up to my newsletter. I will add the link to the chat. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my QR code there, so you can add me. Love to hear from you if you have any feedback on what I just went through with regards to content, or any questions later on. Feel free to reach out. And with that, I think we can kick off the Q&A.
Let's do that. Thank you, Linde, for that presentation. So we do have, we'll give you a few minutes now to type some questions into the chat, which we'll get to, but we have 2 questions already that are waiting in the questions area. So I'm just going to click on start live answer, and then I think you should also be able to see the question at the top there, Linde, on the screen.
Yes, I see it.
So the question is
presenting. Hold on.
I'm going to close this, and then we have the
exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. So in your opinion, aside from Google and other tech industries, who do you believe are exhibiting AI pioneer leadership strategies in the market today? And I know you just showcased 2, but maybe you have some other examples as well.
Yeah, so, there's only a small percentage who are there. I do think Sephora is definitely one of them. So it's interesting to look at them because they also already started a long time ago. You obviously have tech companies, Jean, as you already mentioned. So those are also pioneering in that area. You have a couple of others. I think Heineken is interesting. They're definitely moving there. So that's why I used that as a use case as well. But in general, I would say that what I see a lot is that most companies are still within that stage of AI consumer or AI enhancer, and they haven't really reached that AI pioneer stage yet.
Thank you. It'll be exciting to see what happens in the next period of time then.
Yeah.
We have another question in the questions area, and then I'll move over to the chat. But the question is, in your experience, do you believe that it's a company's responsibility to provide training and support for current employees or become part of the onboarding process? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I do think it's a company's responsibility, but it's also your own responsibility. So it goes both ways. It's definitely a company's responsibility, and I would say that their survival will depend on it as well. So companies should upskill. They should provide training programs to upskill, reskill their workforce. They do need to identify gaps and how they're going to fill that going forward. It's critical to their survival because there is already a lack of talent in the AI area. And if you look at the fact that a lot of AI projects actually fail because they don't have the right teams in place, they don't have the right skills, they don't have the right talent, it's very clear that if companies are not going to actually address that, they will be held back by actually exactly that factor, and won't be able to start applying AI at scale. So, but at the same time, I think it's also everyone's own responsibility to go out and get and upskill themselves, because you don't want to just purely depend on your company, and you do want to get ahead, because that will unlock more opportunities for you as well. So look at the map of the AI skills, and think about how you can continue to actually gain those new skills and upskill yourself.
I see in the chat here, Patrick, you asked about the presentation. So you will get a recording of the webinar that should be automatically emailed to you after this session. In terms of the slides, Linde, that's I'll leave that up to you whether you want to share the slides. If
we can share them. That's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Then I will be sending a post webinar email, and you'll be able to find the slides in that then. Then we have a question from Justina. Don't you think the problem is the hardware? We first need to develop hardware to actually have some tangible AI capabilities.
So hardware, you mean the tech infrastructure, or what exactly do you mean with hardware? Because obviously what's very important is the data, as I mentioned, so the data infrastructure. You do need to have also modern tech infrastructure, which is important. But at the same time, you can't wait. I mean, you need to address those if you don't have that, and you need to work with your cross-functional teams in order to improve. But at the same time, you also need to look at what can I already do with the existing tech stack that I have in place, and with the data infrastructure that I currently have, and then how can I continue to improve that. So it will hold you back if you don't have that in place, but at the same time, you can already start looking for opportunities as well to already apply AI to unlock value. Yes. Yes, so that's another thing. Obviously, the computing it will be something, and I don't think at this point in time. I mean, it's expensive, right? So that is definitely one thing as well that companies need to look at. If you want to scale AI, you do need to think ahead and think about the computing costs that will be required, because the more you scale AI, the higher the computing costs. So that's definitely another important factor to look at and to put into the equation when you look into what AI projects to do, to launch, to pilot, and also to scale it later on.
I saw a few people were typing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just wait a few more seconds, because sometimes there's a bit of a delay.
And I do think, Justina, just to add, while we're maybe waiting for more questions, I do think that more and more companies are using cloud as well. But obviously that has some benefits and that has some disadvantages as well, right? So you do need to look into what are the advantages of having it on premise versus actually deploying in the cloud as well. Both have advantages and disadvantages.
Annika asks, what are the AI tools or apps you most use or recommend to use in marketing?
Right. So, I mean, there's so many different tools. Definitely the LLMs, right? There are so many different ones, and it also depends a little bit on the use cases. But I think the LLMs, the big ones you have, are very well set up to work with regards to everything from, your strategy all the way to, for example, creating custom GPTs that can help to with certain use cases. Like I worked with a company and we developed a custom GPT to actually help with brand approvals and to automate the brand approval process. So you can do a lot already with LLMs. It obviously also depends a little bit. Some companies give access, others don't because of privacy and security concerns. But LLMs in general are great. I think you can do a lot with them, from strategy all the way to creating custom GPTs. Then there's others for content as well, depending on what scale you're creating content at. If it's at smaller scale, you can, for example, use tools like Opus, which will help you to create content in different formats that you can use across different channels. There's productivity tools that I use a lot, like, for example, Otter AI. I know teams are using that as well in order to just increase productivity through having Otter join all the meetings and taking meeting notes, et cetera, et cetera. So it really depends a little bit on what specifically you're trying to do and what you're trying to automate. I think Zapier is great for if you're automating processes. You can do a lot with Zapier to build those kind of customized automation processes as well. I just see that Otter is not working for the German language that well. Isn't that often the case with these tech products? I'm sure it will get there, but I haven't tried it in German that often. But I'm sure there might be some other alternatives to Otter, which might be which might actually work for German. I'm not quite sure about that one.
So I think we have about 5 minutes left, so we'll just take maybe 1 or 2 more questions from the chat. And then...
And Make AI, yes, Sophie, thank you. Make AI is also great. So do try it out. It's also a great way to automate.
Justina, this one may be interesting for other consultants as well. Which certifications in AI do you see your clients look for in consultants?
Oh, it's interesting. I actually don't see them looking for specific certifications. Maybe that's something that's coming. I do see them looking for, especially the expertise of already having applied AI for specific use cases and for specific areas. So the reason why I actually got into this whole area more with advising and consulting was because at eBay, I worked on the whole personalization through machine learning. So applying AI in that area. I've also done that previously, applied AI in other roles. So they were looking more for a track record of actually understanding the area and of already having worked in that area rather than specific certifications. But I think if you don't have that, I'm sure there's certifications that can help with that.
Alexander, I will translate your question here just for anyone else who isn't speaking German. So if 95% of marketing activities are taken over from AI, who is then executing them? Is the company doing it themselves, or are there specific AI marketing agents who, for example, are able to create new concepts within half an hour? How do you see the future here, Linde?
I do think that for now there will remain a role to play for agencies, right? Because what's clear is that companies themselves are not developing the AI expertise at the rate that they ideally should. And talent is in short supply, so agencies can definitely make a difference. That being said, through automation, through actually applying AI, companies will be able to do much more themselves. I mean, they can. It's really interesting. There's been looking into this with one client that I'm working with around how can we set up a whole agentic system, so a couple of different AI agents that actually start to handle the entire social media process, from like creating content and through posting, finding the right times to post, and pushing all of that in like an automated agentic loop. So that could be actually like a mini social media agency that you're setting up through AI agents. So it will be a mix, but I do think that agencies will for now play a role, but they need to add value to bringing in that very specific expertise that marketing teams, for example, are lacking. And many marketing teams are lacking the technical expertise, I would say the data expertise as well. and are definitely also lacking talent in those areas. So this is where agencies can actually make a difference.
Cool. Scary and exciting at the same time.
Yes,
All of the
yeah, it is.
changes
It is
happening.
scary. It is exciting. I think as long as you stay on top of it and you continue to work with it and understand how to start unlocking business value, for now you're on the safe side, and you can be part of those people shaping that 5% that actually AI maybe will never be able to do. Let's see.
Wonderful. So it's 12 now here in Germany. We are ending the webinar. Sorry if we couldn't get to your questions, but I think you were hopefully able to scan Linde's LinkedIn, and maybe you can connect with her there. Thank you so much for your time, Linde, and your input. It was super interesting. And thank you to everyone also who joined during your day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Bye.